every musician should write music. And so what I mean by that, every musician should write music, and in whatever genre, whatever form, whatever genre feels more comfortable to you, you should absolutely try to write a song or hopefully an album's worth. After you do that, it would be even better to lead a group, lead a band, lead rehearsals for a gig, and then after that for a recording session. And then even bigger than that would be a project, which would be like gigs and a recording session, but also you need to brand it. Also you need an image. Also it needs to be like a cohesive sound, or at least, it doesn't need to be a cohesive sound, but a similar sound. It needs to have an identity. All those things are really great, and there's the building blocks from the first song all the way up to establishing your brand. Different levels of ownership of the creative process. Why I say to do this is because a lot of the times when you're in school, getting really good at your instrument, trying as hard as you can to be as great as you can be, sometimes you can get so focused on little minute things that you forget that you're gonna be working with people who are artists first and not necessarily musicians first. And being able to make that boundary as thin as possible is going to be the best for you. It'll also build a lot of empathy when you're working with band leaders for the entire experience they happen to be going through, just like they might have empathy for yours. For instance, when you graduate school, you're probably going to be feeling pretty good about yourself. You'll have got all these A's, you'll have had recitals or something that were successful, you'll feel like you know everything or something like that. And you'll join your first band and you might be kind of smug. You wouldn't be the first. And in leading a band, you'd understand what the feeling is like to have a band that you're maybe probably paying, that is smug and feels like they're too good for it. It's not a great scenario to be in. It's not a great scenario for the band to be in. You're not going to make the most of that music, and it's not a great scenario for the band leader because you're just like, wow, everyone thinks they're a genius, and in most cases, it doesn't sound like a bunch of geniuses in the room. Through leading your own band or project, you'll end up building a lot of empathy for what it's like to deal with different personalities. And you'll get better at your people skills. Again, like I mentioned, someone who might be smug or someone who's got a big ego. Certain egos might be big, but their skill level might be big as well. And they're going to lift your project up despite the fact they might not be the best to work with. Other times, rather, there might be people who have egos, or maybe they were good, or maybe they feel like they're good because they have friends who are doing well, but they in fact aren't that great. And now they're going to have a big ego, a bad attitude, and bring your project down musically. Now you got to learn how to deal with that, and you got to start getting comfortable with the idea of having a pretty serious confrontation and maybe firing someone, which is not a pleasant experience for anyone, but one you need to familiarize yourself with. People skills isn't just dealing with miserable people, it's also understanding how to give really good people the right amount of praise and the right amount of encouragement. Some people do good with you challenging them. Some people do better with you with positive reinforcement, with you encouraging them. And being able to read people and understand how to best communicate with them is going to work wonders for you, whether or not you're the music director, the band leader in general, or you're just a part of the band. A lot of instrumentalists who have experience working with people who might not be instrumentalists themselves, and they're the band leader, have funny stories, of being told to play more blue or green or put some stank on it, make it fierce. While that's fine, and every instrumentalist should be aware that that situation is coming for you one day, and you're going to need to know kind of how to act, and you're going to need to be able to read their mind basically and know how to play more green. That doesn't mean that you should also not try to communicate. When you're in that scenario, you're like, wow, it turned out playing more blue was, chords above the 12th fret with a lot of, sparkly reverb and like a little bit of whammy bar. okay, I really wish they just said higher voicings, caked in reverb with a little bit of vibrato. That would have been fantastic. And you'll experience that and you'll go, wow, whenever I lead a band, I'm going to need to be, I need to be communicative. That way, in case also you end up in another scenario where that happens and someone's telling a different band member, these kind of more descriptive but not specific terms, you might be able to help in that scenario with the whole band's communication. For instance, if I say something like, hey, piano player, can you put some sprinkles on it? They might go, pink, 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 pink. And I might actually just mean, a scalar descending line in the higher register, maybe staccato. And in reality, I should just know how to say that versus describing it with food. Unless we want to get like fun and creative and I'm only going to use food to describe how you should sound, then that's a whole nother thing. Communication in this way is also really helpful because when you get told to play blue or green or anything kind of food related, it might take a bit more time to understand thanks to that communication gap. But when you know what to say and you know how to communicate it, you're able to get so much done so much quicker. And if you're in a time crunch due to money reasons, that's going to be how you're going to want to interact. Also, leading your own project, you might be able to get to understand the psychology of a bad band leader and a good band leader from the perspective of the band leader. You're trying to book a gig and the venue's giving you crap and putting pressure on you. The band's not working so well, or the rehearsal studio's already booked or got double booked or something. A lot of stuff is going on. You might snap. You might find yourself in a place where you don't want to be, acting in a way you don't want to act. And you'll see the reaction, feel bad, and then understand why that was a bad thing to do. As an instrumentalist, I've had a handful of things go awry. Like, I wouldn't be the first one, but having money hung over your head. Being reminded, like, well, I'm paying you, so do this. Every now and again, someone might be right. It might be a good way to put someone in check. Like, hey, I'm paying you, like, play the part. And the other way would be, hey, do anything I ask at all times because I'm paying you for this one thing. I'm paying you for rehearsal, so do this. And you got to know, absolutely not. And also, you'll understand the awareness of, like, you could have gotten what you wanted without threatening payment. That's a big one. Anytime you start talking about money, it gets really uncomfortable really quick, and that should be a last resort. Understanding the creative process behind writing a lot of that material will also help you a lot because you'll have more time. When it's your song and you're sitting with it and you've heard it, with just guitar or just guitar and piano or just guitar and bass or just guitar, a duo of guitar. I've heard it in so many different ways. I've heard how arrangements can really change the effect of a song. At which point, as a session person, I'm able to go in and have a better idea due to having had the experience of hearing my own music played so many different ways. I can hear someone else's song and go, oh, this area might be better stripped down. This area has no interesting melodic hook, but the vocals are doing great and the rhythm is fantastic, but it could use an instrumental hook. You'd think that would be obvious, but when you're sitting on a song and you're halfway through with it, you're like, this is pretty good. Okay, great. It's only when you listen to something and you try to make it the best you can, which means you have to revisit it and just throw things and be like, maybe this will be good. Nah, that sucks. Maybe this will be good. It actually kind of works. Maybe this will be good. Well, this is good, but it conflicts with this, etc., etc. You speed up the process of being able to say, well, this will be great and it won't conflict with much. This is cool, but not really necessary. It doesn't really do anything for the song. It's just more interesting. Okay. You get more experience, and it's easier to get more experience when you make your own opportunities. That's probably the biggest takeaway here is you can wait for arranging projects, you can wait for MD positions, you can wait for all these things, but if you do it all yourself, you're making your own work, and you're giving yourself your own opportunities, especially just for experience. Even if you do none of it for pay, you'll be so much more educated and so much better at your job when you do get hired. One, you'll probably be able to ask for more money, because you'll be that much better. And also, even if you don't ask for more money, you'll do such a good job, you'll immediately get referred because you'll have had that much more practice in comparison to someone who just shows up and goes like, hey, I graduated, so, where's the gig at the Forum? I'm like, no, you gotta work your way up there. You gotta build a reputation. You can do that pretty easily yourself. If you just wanna write your own songs, put them out there, I'll be like, wow, this sounds great, okay. And you'll have made your own opportunities happen. So, thanks for watching. Very much appreciate you guys. Please leave something in the comments. I love talking to you. And yeah, see you next week.